Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it.
Several months later.
I think we have to ask the same questions of him that we have asked of Donald Trump since 2016. And that is, if he were CEO and he turned in a performance like that, would any corporation in America, any Fortune 500 corporation in America, keep him on as CEO? If this were Donald Trump, time and time again, we talked about the Goldwater. Where's the Barry Goldwater? To walk over and tell Richard Nixon it was over, to tell Donald Trump it was over. And now the question is, do Democrats need to do the same thing of Joe Biden?
All right, before we get started, if you guys would please just look down, hit the subscribe button real quick, I'll be so grateful. Thank you. All right, so last night we all watched the debate, which was pretty great for Donald Trump. I'm sure you've all seen it everywhere else. I'm sure you watched it last night and you've gotten plenty of other responses to it, but it was pretty great for Donald Trump. I thought he was on top of his game. He was maybe the best he's ever been in a debate. I don't know, the Hillary debate, because you'd be in jail. That was a pretty good one, but this one he might have even been on top of that game. But he was calm, cool, collected, and held his stuff together. It became clear which of the two presidents had their cognitive function engaged. Clearly, that was Donald Trump, but it was an unmitigated disaster for Joe Biden. And afterwards, like immediately afterwards, everyone was falling out about Joe Biden. The Democrat Party had a freak out, and even the most propagandist left-wing media political pundits were saying, yeah, you got to pull this guy. Joe Scarborough, I think Rachel Maddow even said you got to pull him. Almost everyone, even the ones who normally will support everything that Joe Biden says and does, and have really propped him up over these last 3 years, were they were befuddled. They didn't want to see that Joe Biden that we all saw. So anyways, what they decided to do today, I guess, is Joe Biden wanted to double down because he's full of ego, and I don't know, maybe he thinks that he honestly is the only guy to handle the global situations that we're in right now, even though all of these have happened under his watch. The world's on fire. We're in multiple wars with tensions growing in China. It's been a disaster. Joe Biden's presidency has been a disaster, and I think everyone should recognize that and see that. He's definitely not the one to drag us out, but his ego won't let him take leave, and he's apparently going to stick with it and try to run anyway, even after everyone on both the right and left, after last night's display, said, yeah, this guy's got to go. We got to figure out how to get someone else in there. But he's going to stick with it, so we'll see how that goes. So anyways, one of the ways that they apparently decided that, okay, we're going to stick him back in there, so what we need to do is get him right back out on the road and put out something that makes him look strong, cognitively capable. And so they held a rally in Raleigh, North Carolina today, and Joe Biden looked stronger certainly than he did last night, but of course a speech and a debate are two very different things. He's clearly reading from teleprompters today, and he has a crowd at his back that's highly supportive and encouraging. He's basically speaking to an echo chamber and telling the echo chamber what he wished he would have said when he was actually in the debate with the guy who mopped the floor with him. Kind of like that, when you get into an argument with someone and then like later at night you're laying there and all these thoughts come to your head like, oh dang, I should have said that. Oh man, I wish I had have said that. Well, this is what he's doing now with all of his supporters and all of his friends and the people who've been propping him up. And this, like I said, in Raleigh, North Carolina, it looks like it took place like 1:30 today. But yeah, anyways, we'll go through. I want to have a few clips here I wanted to pull out and show. I think it's funny because he goes on. What they're really pressing is the lies. Donald Trump lies. I've heard that on every single left-wing media source. Lies. That's all they want to press about Donald Trump. But nobody is really talking about or mentioning exactly what lies. It's just like this abstract idea of, well, we all, what they say, we all know Donald Trump is a liar, so he was lying. But I don't really think that Donald Trump lied much, if any at all, in the debate last night. But Joe Biden told a few whoppers. But anyhow, he's going to go on here and tell you about a few ways that he thought Donald Trump lied. And then he's going to follow that up with his own lies. So I want to watch a clip or two here, and then we'll talk about that. So anyways, here we go.
Now, folks, I don't know what you did last night, but I spent 90 minutes on the stage debating a guy who has the morals of an alley cat. Did you see Trump last night? My guess he said, I mean it sincerely, a new record for the most lies told in a single debate.
I don't know. I think if we went back through that debate, we'd find out that Joe Biden told several more lies than Donald Trump. But we'll see. The things that he's calling lies are more subjectivisms. So anyway.
He lied about the great economy he created. He lied about the pandemic he botched, killing millions of people.
Like almost no one denies the economy that Donald Trump. And if you look at the statistics on that and the graphs, the economy did pretty well under Trump. I think like 2017, after they give him a hard time about the tax breaks that he gave to billionaires or whatever, the corporations, but that actually did, at least in the graphs that I've seen, appear to give a pretty good boost to the economy. I know myself, I made out pretty well with that. I got a tax break myself, as we all did, and then my company gave us all a raise. The company I worked for at the time gave us all a raise and set up a new pay structure that gave us raises for the next 3 years. So, I mean, it worked out for me. I can't speak for anyone else, but my company did say that was directly related to the tax cuts, the tax breaks that Donald Trump gave.
He closed businesses. He closed schools, losing their homes, people all over this country.
He said he closed schools, closed businesses, and closed schools, but wasn't it the school unions that wanted to keep the schools closed? I think Donald Trump wanted to open everything right after summer was over, but it was strong Democrat politics that kept the schools closed, and I think mostly it was the schools in Democrat ran states and cities that were stay closed. So anyway, he's giving blame to Donald Trump. That of course is the Democrats, but you guys know that already. I don't need to tell you about that.
America's flat on its back. So I told Trump that he was just one of two presidents in American history who left office with fewer jobs than he started. Herbert Hoover was the other one. That's why I call him Donald Herbert Hoover Trump.
Well, it was a pandemic, so a once in a 100 years pandemic.
And then he lied about how great he was for veterans. But then I told him how he had called a veteran who had given their lives in the country in World War I and refused to go to the grave sites. He called them suckers and losers.
Okay, so that's crap. This is one he keeps repeating, just like last night he repeated the very fine people thing, which was hilarious. I thought that was funny because Joe Biden was locked up in isolation practicing for that debate for a week, and that's when Snopes came out. While he was in isolation for that week, that's when Snopes came out with the the change in their fact check that Donald Trump didn't say that. That was that was discounted even by Snopes, the most left-wing supportive fact checkers probably in the world. And but Joe Biden didn't know that last night at the debate, so I thought that was a hilarious moment that he just swore that was the truth, which we all knew it wasn't true well before that, but it was funny that Snopes had come out and said that just a couple of days before.
He tried to deny it.
Yeah, he didn't say suckers and losers. I don't believe that for a minute. Anybody who does is foolish. There may have been some sort of context that those two words were used, and I have no idea the context because nobody was there. But like Donald Trump said, can you imagine that? Who would do that? Who would stand there in front of a 4-star general, in front of all these military people, and call these soldiers who fought in the war for us suckers and losers? It's absurd. It's ridiculous.
Let me ask you, are you going to believe a 4-star Marine general, his own former Chief of Staff, John Kelly, who said he said that? Or the disgraced, defeated, and lying Donald Trump? My son was one of those people, not a war woman in the Vietnam. Folks, look, how about the fact that 44... How about the fact... That's okay. How about the fact that 40 out of his 44 top advisors, including the vice president, aren't supporting him this time around? The people who know him best, 40 of them said, I will not support the man I work for this time around. It tells you a lot about the person who knows him. Look, he lied about how great he was on crime. I had to remind him that he oversaw a record increase in murder rates in 2020. On my watch, violent crime has hit a 50-year low. There's more to do with a 50-year low.
I don't know what violent crime is. I don't know what crime is under Joe Biden. I don't believe the statistics that we have. I think some of the highest crime-ridden cities, the districts that receive the most crime aren't reporting. I mean, you can also just look around, businesses closing throughout the United States because crime rates are so high. They say we have to protect. We can't put our employees in that kind of danger. So these are things we've never seen before, and they're closing by the hundreds, especially California, New York, Chicago. We just saw the governor of New York, or the governor of New York, Hochul, I think it is her name, called for the National Guard to hang out in the subways because of the crime. So these crime statistics that we've been getting under Joe Biden that say, "Oh yeah, crime is down." I haven't looked at those stats. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I don't think they're very trustworthy at all, because we can see with our eyes and we can intuit that when we see businesses closing because of crime, that we've never seen that before. And when we can see governors calling for the National Guard, when we can see cities saying that they can't afford their police departments, when we know that police officers aren't taking the jobs anymore, we know that crime is up. I think it was Chicago. I can't remember. I read an article the other day. I want to say it was Chicago. I think it was Chicago. I could be wrong. Maybe it was many. I don't remember. But they weren't answering calls that weren't violent crimes anymore. So they weren't even going to respond to those. So when you hear these terms, reported crimes, well, if they're not reporting the crime and they're not going and taking a report on it, there's going to be no reported crime. So, yeah, I think crime numbers are supposedly down because of false statistics. It's the nature of the world we find ourselves in since George Floyd caused a situation where not only can cities and jurisdictions not afford police officers, but many would-be police officers just aren't taking the job because it's just not worth it. It's not, if you can't go into your job and do your job without the threat of being called a racist or being under investigation because you used proper techniques, it's just not worth it. It's become a thankless job, and that's a shame. That's sad. That's sad that that's happened. But so, anyways, those statistics aren't really believable, and it would take more than I want to put into it to really dig into that deeper.
And then I pointed out that the only convicted criminal on the stage last night was Donald Trump.
Good one.
When I thought about
I guess you got
his 34 felony convictions, his sexual assault on a woman in a public place, his being fined $400 million for business fraud, I thought to myself, Donald Trump isn't just a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a one-man crime wave.
A one-man crime wave. The man's 70-something years old, has never been arrested or had any criminal record up until he challenged the political elite, and now he's become a one-man crime wave. Jeez, these people. And the people listening to this, the people supporting that, I mean, they eat it right up. They believe, they follow, they swallow that hook, line, and sinker.
He's got more trials. He's got more trials coming up. Well, it's time for that. Look, the thing that bothers me maybe most about him, he has no respect for women or the law.
See how that's all subjective? This is all subjective thing. It's just statements that with no real foundation or no real basis and fact or support. It's just it's statements of the caricature that they've created of Donald Trump.
He doesn't. And then his biggest lie, he lied about how he had nothing to do with the insurrection of January 6th. We all saw with our own eyes. We watched it on television. We saw thousands in his direction attack the Capitol. We saw police being attacked, the Capitol being ransacked, the mob hunting for Speaker Pelosi.
But what did that actually have to do with Donald Trump? I mean, he said he didn't have anything. He didn't. I mean, like he said, he said we're going to go over there peacefully and patriotically. And then I saw the court case for that, where they're trying to convince the courts that it was actually Donald Trump, and it takes a lot of leap that it takes a lot of leap to make that connection. Like they almost have to hear secret coding and hidden messages in the language to have linked that to Donald Trump. But anyway.
Gallows literally set up for Mike Pence. And then He told them as he sat in the dining room, the private dining room, one door off my Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching the TV. He did not a single thing to stop it. Nothing. Nothing at all. And now he wants to pardon all those convicted and criminals. But folks, for all his love,
I don't know if you got the news today, if you're still watching, but the Supreme Court today made a ruling that is probably going to drop a lot of the charges on the January 6ers about the obstruction of a, I can't remember exactly what it is, but the Supreme Court ruled on that today, and a lot of those people are going to be let out of jail. A lot of their records are going to be cleared, and a lot of their cases are going to be dropped because the federal government, the FBI, who prosecuted these people, got overzealous and stretched the meaning of the law to well outside of anything that could be considered reality in order to get convictions. So hundreds of the people that were convicted for their so-called part in a January 6th are going to be their charges are going to be dismissed real soon.
lies. We learned some important truths about Donald Trump last night. We learned he's still proud of being the person who killed Roe v. Wade. We learned,
I don't know if you all know this, but Joe Biden voted to overturn Roe v. Wade and to throw it back to the states. So what happened with the Supreme Court, Joe Biden has been all for through his career. He was as a senator. He voted for that as a senator to overturn the Roe v. Wade decision and throw it back to the states. Exactly what the Supreme Court did. Joe Biden wanted that. Joe Biden supported that. Joe Biden voted for that. So when he tells you this now, like this is Donald Trump was right last night in the debate that this is something that legislators and legal expert, many people have wanted that and thought that was the right way to go for the entire 51 years that Roe v. Wade was in effect. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the left-wing feminist heroes, she also, it was on shaky ground. That law was on shaky ground from the time it was written. So it's no surprise, it should be no surprise that it was overturned. But now, of course, Joe wants to turn tail on it and pretend like he always had some other, like he was always an advocate for Roe v. Wade. But that's simply not the case. Joe has taken a lot of turns in this last 3 years just because he's always wanted to be president. And so he has kind of just jumped in and said, yeah, I'll play ball with whatever the left wants in order that he can keep get the presidency.
we learned he's still proud about the pain and cruelties inflicted on America's women. We learned he still believes that politicians, not doctors and women, should make decisions about the woman's health. We learned that if he's elected again and the MAGA Republicans pass a national ban on abortion, he will sign it. Donald Trump says he thinks Roe v. Wade.
See, that's all fear-mongering. That's not, there's no way that, it's just an unrealistic claim that they're going to get both chambers of Congress to pass this, and then it's a total ban. You're not going to get enough senators in Congress to go along with that to vote yes on a total ban. It's just not ever going to happen. That's an unpopular position, and Donald Trump himself has said that he's not for that. Whether I would like to see a total ban or not, that's a different thing. But the reality of it is, there aren't ever going to be enough people in the legislation to make that to make that happen. At least not anytime soon. Certainly not in Donald Trump's next term presidency.
Overturning Roe v. Wade was a beautiful thing. I think it was a nightmare. No, I really mean it, a nightmare.
Now he calls it a nightmare. Like I said, he voted for it. He's voted for it in the past. I'm so serious. How can he He thinks it's a nightmare, but he has voted to do the exact same thing. He voted as a senator to overturn Roe v. Wade, and you can go look at it. New York Times wrote an article on it just a couple years ago. He voted to overturn Roe v. Wade and throw it back to the states. He thought it was a states issue, which it is, and that's where it stands now.
And I made it clear again last night that if you elect me and Kamala, you give us a Democratic Congress, we will make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again.
He can say that. He can say that because he knows they'll never get both chambers of Congress, just like he was threatening Donald Trump would do. He knows that they will never get both chambers in Congress to get enough votes to pass that all the way through and get it to the president's desk. That's not ever going to happen. But it's tough talk, and it all sounds great to, the women who want to kill babies.
He said, I quadruple taxes. Where the hell has he been? Which is a simple lie. I didn't raise a tax on anyone in America.
He raised tax on everyone. That inflation, that's a tax. The inflation is a tax, and it's probably quadruple. I think the last I checked, every American household is paying like $1,000, $1,200 more every month. Every month. Now, listen, he's going to go in here in a minute, and he's going to say something about a tax that Donald Trump wants is going to cost Americans $2,500 plus a year. Joe Biden has raised our taxes through inflation by, I think it's almost $1,000 a month that we're all paying extra. I know I feel it. I know I can sure feel it. There's things that I have to make decisions on now that I've never had to make decisions for in my household. Yeah, he's raised those taxes probably 4 times what they were, and through inflation. And now he says he's only raising taxes on people making over $400,000 a year, but that is a bullshit lie. Don't believe that for a minute. He's about to let Donald Trump's tax cut expire. That's the one where they always want to prop it up like, oh yeah, he gave $2 trillion to the billionaires, blah, blah, blah. But we all received that tax cut. I remember when it happened and my paychecks were bigger, like almost $100 a week bigger. So yeah, he's going to let that expire and we're all going to pay more taxes. He's not maybe actively raising taxes, but passively, that's exactly what he's doing. And he's going to raise taxes on everyone. That's what Donald Trump said in the debate. I can't believe you're going to let that tax break expire.
They made less than $400,000 a year. And I won't in my second term either.
Again, that's bullcrap.
We learned that Trump, who had the largest deficit of any president in 4 years because of a $2 trillion tax cut to the super wealthy, we learned that Trump wants to give another giant tax cut for the very wealthy and the biggest corporations. This time, $5 trillion, not a joke, $5 trillion. To pay for it, he's going to cut Medicare and Social Security. He'll cut health care.
No, what? No, he isn't. Social Security and Medicare are going to be belly up. But about the year that I'm going to retire, which is, 15 years from now or so, I'm going to be looking at 75% is all I will receive of what I'm supposed to receive compared to what I'm supposed to receive in Social Security because it's going to be insolvent. Now, everyone has known this is coming for a long, long time. George W. Bush tried to plan that would have allowed us to invest in private investments, our Social Security funds and private investments, anyway, different ways that we wanted to in order to grow our own retirement plans. But Democrats would have nothing to do with that. They completely thwarted, stopped, and destroyed that. They never gave him even a chance on that. So when he says that Donald Trump wants to destroy Social Security, he isn't. Joe Biden is going to destroy Social Security, and he's going to destroy Medicare, and the way he's going to do it is by passively just doing nothing. Republicans are the only ones who have wanted to face this issue that's coming up. That's the only side that I've heard wanting to face the issue that's coming up, that's going to be insolvent. We have to do something. And Democrats don't want to touch it, but they want to threaten that Republicans are the ones who, but that's bull crap. It's Democrats that are going to do it. They're going to let it go insolvent. I promise you, they're going to let Social Security and Medicare go insolvent. And when you want to collect it, it's not going to be there. And it will be because of Democrats, because they have fought that every step of the way. Like I said, 25 years since George Bush was president, they have been fighting against changes to Social Security that must happen. Now, last night in the debate, Joe Biden said that he was going to raise tax on the wealthy, to blah, 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 the billionaires, to pay for that. That's not a tax. That's not a tax like that. Social Security, it doesn't work like that. That's going to be taxes that goes to the government for government spending, but that's separate from Social Security. So even if he raised tax to 70% on billionaires, that's government. That will not help Social Security or Medicare. That will do nothing to help Social Security and Medicare. And you need to understand that.
Do it all with millions of working and middle-class Americans all pay for another tax cut for the very wealthy. Then, to add insult to injury, he wants to raise taxes on the average family $2,500 a year. What amounts to a new 10% sales tax.
That's what I was telling you, $2,500 a year. Joe Biden has raised taxes through his inflationary policies and through just we're all paying about, it's between $700 and $1,000 a month. I'm not sure exactly what the average is, but for me, I would say it's at least $800 a month, because I can feel it. I can tell what I can afford now compared to what I could afford 5 years ago. The decisions that I have to make when it's time to go to the grocery store or pay my rent or pay my car insurance or pay my car payment, all of these things, I know how much I had left over at the end of the week then, and I know how much I have left over at the end of the week now. And it's a huge difference. A huge difference. I'm sure it's at least $1,000 difference just in my personal life, $1,000 a month. And that's just me, not counting my wife. So when he says $2,500 a year, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to what Joe Biden has cost us with his inflationary policy.
It's important in America. That's his new plan for food, coffee, candy bars, and so much more. It's going to raise the tax on the average family $2,500 a year.
I just paid $10 for eggs the other day that under Donald Trump, I very seriously paid $2 for. $10 for 60 eggs, and under Donald Trump it's the same 60 eggs at the same store. It was $2 for 60 eggs. It's now $10 for 60 eggs. At one point, it was $15 for 60 eggs.
Most dangerously, though, we learned that Donald Trump will not respect this year's election outcome. He's still not respecting the last time out. Well, think about it.
Listen, I'm not even going to go into that anymore. He just keeps carrying on. So essentially what he did was come out and say, oh, yeah, Donald Trump's a liar, and then told a whole bunch of his own lies to cover it up. But again, this was just a ploy to get Joe back out there, to kind of get back on that horse, show people that you're still good. That was just a fluke that happened the other day. But we still have another debate coming, and hopefully Joe Biden won't fall through on it, because I want to see him again. Hopefully he goes through another 7-day training in order just to meet Donald Trump at his base level. But I don't know. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about it. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, if there's something you didn't like that I said, let's talk about it. Leave an unlike if you want. That's feedback that lets me know what I can change and what you guys want to see. So, take care. Later.